Welcome back to the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. Come for the rugby, stay for the Aftermatch. Good to be back for another week. Beaver's been in the comments again. And look, there's been a lot of people commenting, Beaver's in the comments, Beaver's in the comments. Yes, Beaver is back in the comments. And let me put some of these comments to you, Beeve.
Please.
This one's from Randomly Factual, 1943. Guys, I don't think Beaver said yes enough times this podcast. Can we maybe address the issue?
Oh, well, yes, we can. But look, I thought it was a case of we wanted less yeses and more creative words. But I'm happy to go down that path again.
What's more creative than yes? Give us a...
Well, another word that I fall into too often is obviously. Obviously. Well, it's not obvious, Stephen. If they don't know, it's obvious. So, yeah, that's another one that I fall into.
Okay, we move on. Mitchell says, guys, please make your way to South Africa for the tour. I've already secured my tickets for Cape Town. It's going to be so epic. Francois says, bring the Aftermatch to Cape Town. Look, a lot of people want us to go to Cape Town and Beeve. Who are we to deny the people? Sticksman says, have you locked your travel plans in yet?
I reckon by this time next week we might have an update there for you, but we are getting close. Was that Francois Lowe asked me to come to Cape Town?
Not a Francois Lowe.
No.
Unless he's going by another surname. Maybe.
Well, because I'll be having to ask for a room at Francois' house in Cape Town. So
I'll reply to the comment and ask him any chance of accommodation.
Yeah.
Beaver's in the comments.
Is that you, Franny?
Kiwi Hayden, if the All Blacks can play like a combination of the Canes and the Chiefs, they'll be set. We need some steel up front and the ability to pull the trigger out wide. Thoughts?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Bit of steel up front and the ability to play like those two teams. Absolutely. We will be well and truly back to our best, I think, and let's hope they do. And look, I've got a lot of sort of hope and confidence that I think Dave Rennie's certainly going to bring that style of footy in.
Scant Mean 5922 says, back in the comments to say hi to Beaver now that he does his homework.
Yeah, well, look,
it's only taken him 2 years.
I'm a big homework guy, and I would have thought you guys realise that by now. But great to have you all listening, that's for sure.
Ian Frost says, Beav, you look fitter than the rest of the guys on the breakdown. What do you do?
Well, that's a lovely compliment. I don't get many compliments about my performances on the breakdown in comparison to the great Jeff and Mills. Mills is in good shape too, and Jeff is holding it together. Look, I just go for a couple of runs and eat well, apart from sausage rolls at the Octagon.
A sausage roll, some M&Ms, and a pie as well.
Yeah, but that was to
he went
justify
for the triple threat.
That was to justify standing there in line for 15 minutes.
I'm surprised you didn't get a wee milkshake, Beef, just to really finish it off.
Yeah, I was tempted, but I didn't want that sitting in the gut as I was trying to go to sleep.
Comment more because Beaver is in the comments. So send your messages his way. Anything that you want to say, any questions that you want to ask, write them in the comments because we read absolutely everything. And now Beaver does too. But let's talk about this current round of Super Rugby. I feel like all of these teams, the top teams are really starting to come into their own. We're going to talk about these top teams, but I feel like when you're watching these teams, there are certain players that are just head and shoulders above the rest in Super Rugby right now. And like we could go back and forth of who these players are, and I'm sure we're going to have the same people on our list. But there's players that every week are just looking so much better than everyone else in their team and in this league. There's a big group of them.
Yeah, there's a big group of them. And I guess right now is probably when, dare I say it, Mr. Rennie really starts to get his notebook out and starts to put names down a bit firmer than just sort of scouting as you would in the early rounds, because quite simply the pressure's gone up. You've got derbies every week leading into the quarterfinals. The winter's slowly approaching, so the conditions are making the game a bit slower. So it's a little bit more like test footy, is how combative it is, and the pace of ball isn't always the free-flowing that we've had at the start during summer. So, yeah, right now, Kirst, the big names are starting to appear, and I imagine this is when Dave Rennie's really starting to think about who his All Blacks are going to be, and some of those big names, as you said, like you think about the Crusaders and some of their forward pack, and the Chiefs, you know, Mackenzie and the Ratimas, and again, Quinta Pies and some of their forwards. The Hurricanes, very impressive.
Let's go one for one. Let's go one for
Okay.
one with players that are just head and shoulders above the rest right now. And we won't do what we did last week and name 80 players for
No,
the
please
South
don't.
Africa tour that people were furiously calling us out about. But
Yes.
one for one, players that are just head and shoulders above the rest right now. Cam Roigard,
Ethan de Groot.
Caleb Tangitau,
Oh, beautiful. Well, Lester Whananuku's creating some havoc, isn't he?
Fihi Whanganuku. Not Fihi Whanganuku.
You
Fihi
can't have it. You can't have an
Vinianganoko.
amalgamation. You can't have an
You've got the two
amalgamation.
of them. Head and shoulders
Yeah.
above the rest right now.
Well, Geordie Barrett,
Yeah. Peter Lakai?
Newell.
Nice. Okay, I'm finished.
Yeah.
We
I'd,
could keep this going
I'd
forever
give
and
you.
ever.
I'd give you Josh Lord and a Tupou Vai.
Mm.
There are some starting to really emerge, but it's I guess it's a positive thing for the All Black coach, and then for all these guys who have never been All Blacks or who are getting talked about as potential All Blacks. If you can match up against some of these boys and get the better of them, then all of a sudden, I guess Dave Rennie will start taking your applications a lot more seriously.
So the next 3 weeks plus 3 of the finals, depending on what teams make it. So we've got 6 weeks. This is
Yeah,
really when Dave Rennie's squad's going to be selected, right? Do
I'd
you
have,
think
I'd
it
imagine.
will? Do you think it will also impact who his 23 is, or do you think he'll have a pretty fair idea who that team is?
I'd say once like 23, I think is probably a little bit of a stretch, but like obviously it's 15, certainly, and then once he gets them involved, I'd imagine he'll tinker around with his bench. But I mean, I know Graham Henry used to talk about like you judge it on Super Rugby finals is probably the biggest indicator, and I know previously the most recent regimes have sort of just picked almost before finals and what have you. So you can't really say that accounted for. But when you think you're Dave Rennie, you're starting, he said everyone's got a clean slate and he's starting afresh, then you'd have to think, why wouldn't you pick from the biggest, most pressure cooker games? Because that's what you got to find out, particularly around people in decision-making positions and, not necessarily big forward grunt work because props are props. And if they're going to push and they're going to achieve success at scrum time, then they're going to have to do it, all the time. So, yeah, I think some of those positions more so than others at this time of year will be decided on how the next sort of 6 weeks go.
Okay, we're talking about pressure cooker because that's what you just said. Give us our Jonas for this week, our 3, 2, 1s.
Jonas came from what was supposed to be the match of the round and what was supposed to be, I guess, an absolute bell ringer as far as a game that goes down to a wire. Well, in the end, the Crusaders were just too good. And so Lester Whananuku, who had his hands in everything good for the Crusaders, takes away the 3 points for the Jonas this week. He was almost Artie-like from last year for Moana, as far as the kicks, as far as the highlights reels, turnovers when they needed it, that sort of thing. You couldn't help but keep your eye on him. And he was in some form, probably his best game in the 7 jersey, Kirst, I would have thought. 2 points go to, I ended up going to Tangitau down there in Dunedin, under the roof. His first half in particular, just freakish, did some amazing things, had a hand in 2 tries, did one all by himself. And when I say all by himself, Kirst, from a standing start, beats 5 defenders, 2 of which were loose forwards.
Yeah,
So
that was silly.
they're your best tacklers, like by and large, the loose forwards, that's their bread and butter. Well, from a standing start, Caleb made them look silly. So he gets one. And a guy who continues to catch the eye, and as of about 2 weeks ago, none of us probably knew who he was, but Hutchinson's down there. I was going to say down there. He's not too far down there. He's playing for our beloved Chiefs, Kirst. And at the 15 jersey, lots of injuries to the outsides at the moment for the Chiefs. But boy, he is making every post a winner. And when everyone's back, you're going to have to think, he's still going to be in the conversation. He's going that well. And his performance over there against the Reds in Brisbane was, again, another top performance from him.
Yeah, top performance on his debut down at Super Round as well. Isaac
Yes.
Hutchinson, he had big raps on him. He came through the Canterbury and Crusader system. Crusaders originally had signed him and then he tore his ACL. So he spent more than a year on the sidelines, never played Super. Chiefs scooped him up and here he is, Beef. Another one of these ALB, Damien McKenzie products that gets stolen from the South. Brody Retallick, the list goes on.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to just put him out there because he's hurt his knee, I mean, we'll take him. And geez, he's doing a wonderful job, and I'm sure he's happy to be calling the great city of Hamilton home at the moment.
Well, they've got to lock him in for the long run, right? And he'll not go anywhere after that. Let's go back to Leicester. So
Yep.
you mentioned he had a hand in everything good. He had a hand in 3 of the Crusaders' 6 tries against the Blues. Like, this wasn't an easy team that they were playing against. 2 breakdown penalties, like his meters were off the charts. Such a menace with ball in hand. What about that grubber kick that he put in for the Sevu Reece try? Like, seriously? Come on. And the fact that he can play wing, centre, loose forward.
Yeah,
Like, it's crazy what he's doing, isn't it? And that he continues to do it every single week.
Yeah, but I honestly think this one in the weekend curse takes the cake as far as since he's been in the 7 jersey. Yep, you could say some of those things weren't exactly what a 7 does, but it's the variety, and clearly the Crusaders have a wonderful pack, but it's a very working man's pack. I think more than anything, Leicester's clearly he's added a great ball carrier to that group. And it probably takes a little bit of pressure off Leo Willie, who was essentially the go-to guy on that front, especially when you lose a Matthew Williams, who was also a great carrier around the park. So he gives you that, and then he gives you things that no one can do outside of someone like a Leicester as far as forwards go. Artie last year for Moana, where he does do these off-the-cuff kicks, which, if it was a midfielder doing it, you'd be like, no, it's a nice bit of work. Because he's doing it with the number 7 on his back, you think about that chip kick he did when he was in a pod. It's not something you usually have to consider. Defensively, I can't remember the last time, with all respect, Fletcher Newell did a chip kick when he was in the window of one of those pods. It just doesn't happen. But the fact they've got Leicester in there and he's just coming around and the opposition just looking up and going, oh, here comes the forwards, and then he can do that, changes the point. And then his work at the breakdown, like so many of our midfielders at the moment, when you think Quinn Tupai, when you think Tavatava Nawai, just phenomenal over the ball. And I guess when he's in the 7 jersey, he's closer to the action and he gets more opportunity to pick his moments. And you can see the very best of them, they pick their moments, Curse. Watching Tavatava Nawai do it too, Leicester does it too. Soon as he knows that the first cleaner is not right on the ball carrier, then that's his time to go. And these guys are incredibly strong. You're not getting rid of them. But Leicester, he's certainly creating conversation. He's certainly, I guess, creating a option for the All Blacks and to see where this little month of absolute, I guess, surprise performances is going to take him.
Okay, so 2 things here. Let's talk Crusaders first. Does he stay at 7 for the Crusaders for the rest of the season? And do they continue with Ethan Blackadder at 6 and Christian Leo Willie at 8 as they head towards the playoffs? They've already just played 2 derby games and he's been there for both, and they've got another 2 to come against the Chiefs and the Hurricanes again? Both at home.
They have got the Hurricanes
2
again.
Extremely good loose forward units, but he's also just played against 2 really good loose forward units.
Yeah, and he'll be learning every time. If any position, you think it's always the worst thing about having to retire is you're like, oh, I understand it now. Like
I've just mastered it.
I've just mastered it, but my body's caved in, and so how quickly he can keep mastering and keep learning the seven lines and skills and the moments that sevens talk about, that'll be the big thing. But from a Crusaders point of view, I think possibly right now he adds so much to that forward pack as far as what we've just talked about, the variation of skill, the ability to be this powerful runner, that I can't see him changing now. And particularly this close to the finals. From his own point of view, it's interesting because, let's be honest, at the start of Super Rugby, if you'd said, where does Leicester sit in the All Black picture, I would have said probably either starting at 13, starting on the wing, or if neither of those, first picked on the bench.
Yeah.
So, But
after his All Blacks test last year, starting at 13 was probably the one, right?
Well,
considering what he did.
Well, exactly. Well, no, I still think, obviously, he only had a couple there at the end with Quinn.
Yeah.
Because him and Quinn ended up being the midfield when Geordie got hurt. So, but yeah, it's between those two for me. Based on last year, obviously we've got this clean slate
Well,
under
it's
Dave
between
Rennie.
those three, isn't it? Who
Yeah,
plays 12 and 13?
exactly.
Wouldn't you think? Is it just
Oh,
between those three there, Geordie, Quinn, and Leicester?
well,
Or
at the
do you
start of the
add
year,
Billy in?
well, no, at the start of the year, I would have said that. But what I'm saying is, has his time being a seven at all changed that thinking? Like, is he still, being able to put his case forward for one of those jobs? So only Dave Rennie would be able to tell you that. But that's the interesting thing, and whether or not that is affecting things. But from an All Black point of view, Kirst, it's as I said, there's been so much talk about the 6-2 split and us being copycats, and we need to copy everything South Africa does. The great thing about Leicester now, having proved what he can do, is we don't need to, because you can have your 5-3 split, knowing full well that if you want to do something a little bit different with who you're covering on the bench with your forwards, you've got Leicester there who can cover a couple of those positions.
The bench is always so fascinating when you're talking about the All Blacks. Obviously, Leicester can now play wing, midfield, loose forward, whether he's starting or on the bench. And then you've got Geordie, who we know can play basically anywhere in the back line. And like so many of their players can play everywhere.
Well, and the 10s all can cover 15. So
Exactly.
it's pretty well equipped. Yeah.
So you only need about 3 players and you're good to go. You can cover everything. I wanted to talk about the Crusaders a little bit more because I
Yep.
feel like with Leicester's move, he's almost transformed the Crusaders over the last month. And I'm not saying he's done it on his own. The team has obviously done it, but they are in a very different position than they were 2 weeks ago when we were talking about must-win territory here. With him playing 7, the way the team is trending, and with Scott Barrett and Will Jordan to come back, this team is probably going to be a finalist. I'm going to
I'd be
say it again. At this time of year, they are very hard to beat.
I think they are the team with the biggest move in them still. And realistically, you look at the ladder, they're possibly not going to have a home quarter final. That won't concern them because they've done it. They've won titles every which way. But
Exactly.
why I say that they've got the biggest improvement left in them, they've just beaten the Blues. And if it wasn't for them going down to 13 men with 10 minutes to go, you would have said that was comfortable. And it ended up being comfortable anyway. But you mentioned Jordan and Barrett, 2 absolute All Black superstars. One All Black captain, one of them the best in the world at what he does. Then the manner in which they won. They were very good against the Blues, don't get me wrong. But why I reckon there's even more optimism probably for Rob Penny and the city of Christchurch is I reckon they're a long way from their best. I reckon they were probably at about 65, 70% of what they're capable of when you think on 3 occasions they had miscommunication on their strike. So when I say on their strike, on the very first phase, which is something you train all weekend, you all know where to be, you all know your roles, there was a ball hit one person's head. There was another that hit someone's shoulder because they weren't expecting it. And when you think that that's your very best chance to attack, and yet you still win comfortably, I just think that means for me, if they tidy up a few of those things, add in Barrett, add in Will Jordan, they have got some big shifts still left in them, Curse, which, considering how good they were, is a concern if you're the other teams chasing the glory.
If they're 65, 70% right now, it's a serious worry for everyone else. The Blues, are they goners, Beeve?
No, well, they're not goners. They're not goners at all because for me, they're going to have a home quarter. I think they scramble their way to third. I don't
This
know
week's going to
how.
tell us a lot. They play the
Yeah.
Hurricanes.
Yeah, I still think they'll get a third. And they were incredibly resilient for that first 40 minutes. For them to be where they were at halftime, they were off the field. And yet, after AJ Lamb's try, and then I think Knox try in the corner, you're like, how has this happened? So the resilience is there. But I just think from that last 10 or 15 minutes, they'd be disappointed with some of their decision making. When you had the Crusaders down to 13 men with about 8 to go, and then they were in a bit of panic mode to run it from their own 22 off slow ball. I thought they had time there just to hack it downfield and eventually pick your moment to go after a turnover or steal the ball or get penalties because the Blues were going to run out of numbers. I mean, it was just a case of that. So I just think Vern will go back and think, boys, what are we doing here? We're down by only two converted tries wins us the game here, and I just think they let themselves down there. They'll be better for it. Some big injuries though. I don't know how bad Dalton is, things like that. And there'd be some concerns, but if they get everyone back on the park firing, I still think they'll be a threat in all of this.
Okay, take us to our Bushbuck moment of the week then, Beef.
Well, the Bushbuck moment of the week, it actually came from the Blues and it came from Christchurch, and it was just a beautiful thing to see. Turnover ball, it's the best ball you're ever going to get because you're going up against a broken, unorganised defensive line. And the Bushbuck moment is our try to AJ Lamb in the corner. With my rough guess, it was about an 85-metre special from the Blues. Would have been easy for him to just got the ball out off that turnover and kick the ball. But through some vision, through some calling out on that right-hand side, about 5 pairs of hands later, AJ Lamb scores an absolute gem in the corner. So that is our Bushbuck moment of the week, Kirst.
Yeah, that was such a good try. Such a good try. Blues desperately needed it, came out of nowhere. I actually met AJ's dad at our hotel a few hours after the game. I didn't know who he was, but he said to me, "Did you like my son's try?" And I said, "Who's your son?" And he said, "AJ." I said, "I bloody loved it. I bloody loved it. Try of the night."
Was he celebrating AJ's try? Was he
celebrating with some Uber Eats up to the hotel room?
See, that's I need to take a leaf out of that book. Just go to my hotel room.
Go to your hotel room, order Uber Eats rather than lining up at the 24/7 night and day with every single student in Dunedin.
Yeah, bit of maturity there.
Wrong, Beef.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out to AJ Lamstad. Really lovely to meet you.
Brilliant stuff.
Let's go to Dunedin then, Beef, where you were. The drama in that game. The Highlanders looked home and hosed at halftime. Like, they had a significant lead and they were just so damaging. The Waratahs weren't even in that game in the first half, were they? How was it so close in the end? 31-26.
Great question. How it got so close in the end is, I think, two things. Cards and disciplines, and both cards, if I'm a Landers coach, I'd be sending a little file to the boss of Super Rugby and say, please explain. And also, it was a position that the Highlanders hadn't found themselves in. They went in at halftime. They had been as close to perfect as you could get. They were incredible, Curse. For 25 minutes spell in that first half, you've never seen anything like it. And they were so disciplined. They would score points, get out of there straight away, get straight back down there through Waratahs infringing or mistakes, and they'd go again, get a bit more points, and repeat. And they were so disciplined with it. Their offloading game, which at times during the year had come unstuck, was landing. Their line-out and their line-out pressure on Waratahs' ball was so good. But there was a bit of a reversal in the second half. They started to maybe even play like they were 28-7 up straight after the break, where in the past they were looking for a bit of field position. They were deciding to run it from their own 30 and 40, not get the clean right, turnover, Waratahs back in their half. So both inviting the Waratahs in through probably not having discipline to stick to what worked for them in the first half, and the fact these cards had such an impact, invited the Waratahs back in, and the Waratahs have some superstars. Yeah. Let's not beat around the bush there.
Talk to me about the back three and the man in the number 13 jersey.
Yes, and they are...
Sid the kid? Sid Harvey?
Sid's got some pace. Sid has
he's like 18, 19, Beef.
Yeah, and he's got some errors in him at the moment, but who hasn't at that age? Yeah. But one thing he's got that you cannot touch is pace. And he's goal kicking and all the rest of it. So he's taking lots of responsibility. So when you sit back, if you're a Waratahs fan and realise he's 18 or 19, then the world's going to be his oyster. The Highlanders in general did a real good job on Max Jorgensen, I thought. They limited his impact. They were on high alert. And they were on high alert for Joseph Suaalii too. But there's only so long that you can probably keep him out of a game. You think about how big he is, his stride length. People talk about stride length. What that means, Kirst, is when he changes direction or when he wants to go on the outside of it, he instantly attracts that next defender. And I mean, the first drive Waratahs got was because he got outside Jonah Lowe, and he probably didn't have Jonah Lowe for pace, but Cam Miller was outside Jonah Lowe, and he essentially panicked and thought he had to come and help. And then what does that do? Frees up the outside. So it's just his ability with ball in hand. I thought he was
Yeah.
underutilised. Like, there's no hiding from the fact that you talk about the last 10 minutes for the Blues. The last 10 minutes from the Waratahs, they were in this game up to their eyeballs. All of a sudden, they had some numerical advantage because Nariki had, I couldn't quite work it out, had been red carded. And they were back in it with 10 to go. But I reckon Joseph Soale in the last 10 minutes probably touched the ball twice. And they had ample opportunity when they had front foot ball. And when I say front foot ball, Curse, the Landers aren't bringing any line speed. They're having to backpedal because Waratahs had momentum. And yet they'd go another forward carry or someone else would carry. Instead of just pulling it away from the forwards and just going, right, early ball, Joseph, you got a one-on-one out there, go. Like, the amount of times that was set up for them in that last 10 minutes, we had great views. We were doing the commentary box there. And you're looking at it thinking, get the ball to them now, you're probably under the sticks. And they just didn't do it. And so they'll look at that footage and just wonder how they let that one slip. But I'll say this about the Landers, Curse. That first 25 minutes, they would have been too good for anyone.
For any
That,
side.
that
Any
25
side this
minutes,
year.
they were
Better than the
absolutely
Hurricanes best.
They were perfect. They were absolutely perfect. And yes, the Waratahs were allowing them to be perfect because they were giving them penalties and giving them handling errors. But when you think about the scrum dominance that Ethan de Groot, Ta'avao and Taylor were getting up front, Lavanini, I hear, helps significantly with the scrum because he's a big piece of Argentinian meat, Kirst. They were getting scrum penalties, which got them territory. And then Caleb Tangitau and his involvements, we've already mentioned him in the Jonas segment, just incredible, Kirst. And he was also doing things like about to have a run, but then offloading and just sucking in defenders. And then other guys were getting weak shoulders. So, as I say, if they can bottle that first 30 minutes up, they may not be without something to say as far as this tournament goes just yet.
Okay, so can they pull off the double against the Crusaders and the Hurricanes to sneak into the final spot?
No, it's the Chiefs. They got the Chiefs this week, and they've got the Chiefs in Hamilton on Friday.
They've got the Chiefs, and then they've got the Hurricanes to finish. No?
Yeah, and
Hurricanes next week.
Hurricanes, and then the bye. They finish with the bye.
Right.
Yeah. So look, they've probably got in World Rugby right now. They've got the toughest next 2 weeks you could imagine, but they've just got
to. If they play like they did in the first 20 minutes, they're better than any team. So
they've
go
just
on,
got to
Jamie.
They've just got to take the confidence from that first 25, 30 minutes. And, who knows? All of a sudden, it gets exciting, though, that game. Like
Dave Rennie and Hamilton on Friday night, beef. Watching in person. Tangi Tau and these. I feel like this is going to be a belter.
Well, it's Tamatavanawa versus Kundapai again. It's all these matchups. It's great stuff. So, no, the Landers have got a little bit of hope all of a sudden, just with how clinical and exciting their brand of footy was on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, well, if you think the Crusaders are at about 65 to 70% of their capacity, what are the Hurricanes playing at right now? How high have they reached?
I think you've just got to tip your hat to them, really. When you think about the subs they made, as far as who didn't play that game, and then you're going to Moana, and then it's a horrible weather night. If you were to write the script for a boil over, and it's the top of a table team getting ahead of themselves, chucking out some new guys who haven't been the regular starters, who aren't the big name All Blacks, going up against a team that's literally playing for its future and their livelihoods in the wet. You can't underestimate what the wet adds to it. They then just go out and just be so professional, so efficient, and they're still scoring tries in the manner in which they have all year. That's the thing that, just as a pure rugby fan, not as a Hurricane fan, because we are not. When we're not being when we're not being impartial, as we're paid to be, we are not. We are Chiefs fans.
Well, I'm a Mount
But
Marlin.
well, you're a Mount Marlin. But it was just the efficiency and still the endeavour. Like, as a rugby fan, you just got to tip your hat to the fact that this week it wasn't the record try scorer breaking, or soon to be record holder. It was the guy on the other wing scoring 4 tries. And then it was the guy coming off the bench who scored another 2.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, it would have, if you had told me on Sunday morning, they scored 5 tries up front from rolling mauls, oh, yeah, so be it. It was a wet night. I can understand it. But no, not these boys. It was brilliant.
Did you have either of those two in your fantasy team on the weekend?
No, not unless they've been there for the last 4 weeks.
You dropped the ball again. Well, you are at about 10% of your capacity, Beeb, and I'm going to need an uplift over the next 6 weeks, all right? The Hurricanes, have you got something to say?
I was going to say, riddle me this. Okay, so you got Morby.
Yes.
4 tries.
Yeah. I can't solve your riddle that you're about to give me.
You've got Fehi, who's had the season of his life. He's about to be the record try scorer. You've got Harkin, who's made the fullback jersey his own. And then I'll just give you, a little bit of spice, and I'll throw you Kenny Naholo, who's come back in. First touch try, second touch try. Looks like he's put on about 10 kgs of muscle up top, or those Hurricanes jerseys are deceiving me. And 4 into 3 doesn't go.
I'll give you the riddle. Ruben Love out this week, potentially. Callum Harkin comes into 10. Kenny Naholo, Fehi on either side, and Morby at the back.
Well, that'll be the riddle for this week.
If Ruben Love is, because he's obviously was out injured on the weekend, hamstring injury, I think, or ankle. If he's out injured again, that's the riddle for this week. If everyone is fit and available, Beav, who are you picking? Who's your back 3? Or you're not dropping anyone. You're just putting someone on the bench. Someone good.
I've long loved me a bit of Kenny Naholo.
I know. You had him as your All Black 2 years ago.
Look,
and to be fair, how good did he look? Coming back from an ACL, not a whole lot of rugby under his belt. He's been playing for that Hurricanes development team. And just to come straight back in off the bench like that, wow.
Was it my murky eyes after a few drinks with Nisbo, or did he just look like he'd put on just 10 kgs up top, or was I imagining things?
Oh, I don't know, Beef. I don't know.
I thought he looked massive up top. Look, me and you aren't paid as much as Corey Jane. That's his job to sort out who's going to be the back 3. So we'll leave it up to. So
you're not going to put one of the amazing players on the bench.
No, I'm going to leave that up to the highly paid Corey Jane.
You know what? I reckon it's going to come down to who maybe needs a freshen up. If one of them is looking a little bit tired, tuck them on the bench. Otherwise, Kinney sits on the bench as he makes his way back into it. Either way, I don't think you can lose with any of those guys, can you? With the way that they're playing, you can't lose.
No,
they're just incredible. Lucky at the moment.
Their depth is just phenomenal there at the Hurricanes at the moment.
And that's why I've got to call you out about how they played, the endeavour that they played with, and giving them a lot of credit for going up to Moana, in which could have been a banana skin game, because they made so many changes. Look at their forward pack. It was a phenomenal forward pack. And who was different? Maybe the 9 and 10, maybe one in the midfield. But aside from that, Beav, it's still a top team.
It is, but that's where, when things come array for teams.
But this is against the bottom team in the competition.
Yeah,
this wasn't a top 4 battle.
It's your 9 and 10 that on a wet, miserable night and a team bringing attitude against you, that's where you usually think, geez, it'd be nice to have your number ones, your tried and true experienced boys here. But that's what I'm saying. That was probably the overall impressive thing. I guess you're right. When you've still got guys like Karifi and Shields on the field, just to steady the ship, if it's going a little bit array. But no, I just thought a very professional performance, Kirst. Sorry for giving them too much credit.
No, that's fine. Give them all the credit you want. Geordie Barrett was on the golf course on the weekend on the Charles Tour. For anyone that doesn't know what the Charles Tour is, it's the professional golf tour here in New Zealand, right? Which we've seen a few former players jump on in the past. We won't mention names. But
after Sir Bob.
Golf beat him. Golf beat him this weekend, and they would say he's one of the best rugby come golfers in New Zealand right now, but golf beat him. So it shows it can happen to everyone, Beef.
In what regard did it beat him, Kirst?
I think on day one, really good conditions. I think he finished about 3 over.
Yes. 3 over.
And look, this isn't absolute facts. Go and look it up for
No,
yourself. I'm just trying to
I've got it.
recount the numbers here. And then on day 2, he had a horrible round, horrible conditions, and I think the field was about 90 and he finished about 76.
Okay.
So it
Just
wasn't a good weekend for Geordie.
yeah, okay. Well, just if Geordie is feeling a bit down in the dumps today,
Don't go there.
and he's wondering if his golfing career is potentially over. Take solace from this, Geordie. Another All Black fullback / winger once played in a Charles Tour event, and he didn't break 100. So I think you've done very well on the first round alone, being 3 over. So as far as the All Black leaderboard, when playing professional golf tournaments, he's leading that, Kirst, because
Okay.
Israel Dag is still playing there at Clearwater from 2 years ago.
Okay, well, let me give you the actual numbers. Okay, 4 over 76 on day 1 on Thursday, and then 16 over 88 in the second round, finishing tied for 79 out of 102 competitors.
Very good. Very good return, Geordie.
At 20 over par.
Yep, especially considering
How
my
does
great
that
mates.
compare?
Well, Israel was about 39 over after one round, so I think Geordie's got him covered there on the All Black. Yeah, Geordie wins on the All Black leaderboard.
Any other All Blacks want to jump on the Charles Tour, Beef? Did you give it a crack?
Well, not after that, I wouldn't think, because Geordie, by all accounts, is by far and away rugby's premier golfer. And if that's what he's doing, then we all know he is the best compared to Israel. So I think they'll just leave it there.
Shows it's not easy, does it? Look, we're getting sidetracked completely.
We are.
Hurricanes, top of the table at the moment, plus 257 points differential because of the way that they are playing, as you've just mentioned, not just against Moana, but consistently right across the season. Between you and I right now, with 3 weeks to play before those settings are set,
yes,
I think the Chiefs finish top of the table. And that is not bias. I genuinely think Chiefs finish top, Canes finish second. What do you reckon? It's between those two teams, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's the great thing about, if you're a fan, is there are some monster matchups that are pivotal, and 2 of which are going to be in the new stadium in Christchurch. So I think we've got 2 more sellouts. We've got 2 more guaranteed dry tracks for these teams to go absolutely hammer and tongs at. The Chiefs, like the Crusaders, they'd be a concern for me if I was another team, because
you're saying they're at 65% still?
Oh, they were patchy against the Reds, and the Reds are 4th or 5th on the ladder, and they still were comfortable against them, to be fair. I know there's been a bit of hype and hoopla around refereeing and no tries and whatever. They were comfortable, and to think that they had really mixed up their squad. Takiaho comes on with 20 to go, influential. Obviously, the locks they had a wee injury there. They continue to mix and match the loose forward trio. So I think when you boil that performance down, they'll come back to Hamilton this week. They got the Landers on Friday night. That'll be a really interesting gauge on where they're at. The Hurricanes and the Chiefs, I think essentially who's going to decide first position on the table is going to be the Crusaders.
Yeah,
because
that's who beats the Crusaders at home.
Who's going to beat them down there?
And I reckon Chiefs beat the Crusaders at home, but I don't think the Canes beat them.
I tell you what, they're going to be great games of footy, because both teams are going to love the fact that there's a roof over. You think the Hurricanes? If the Hurricanes finish top, I wouldn't be surprised if they ask the Crusaders to host all finals games at the new stadium, because under the roof, that Hurricanes team, I'd say they'd have some fun.
Another great vibe on the weekend as well. Another sellout, as you mentioned. Fans are still loving it, and it's pumping.
Still haven't got there. I need to get there.
Oh, you still haven't been? When are you there? 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time with the Chiefs.
Oh, look, you'll get to enjoy FMG Stadium this weekend then, Beeve. Another strong bit of news this week. And look, I want your predictor here. What is your prediction? Since you've been throwing out percentages today, what is the chances that Richie Mo'unga tours South Africa with the All Blacks?
Well, we were lucky enough to have the new CEO, Steve Lancaster, on last night, who I thought...
He gave it a 0%.
No, he said in the initial squad.
Yeah, but that means he can't be picked unless there's an injury. So it's a 0% to start off with. For you, what is the percentage that we see him over there?
Well, considering you have 44 players, what are the percentage of those 44 players still being uninjured after 5 weeks in South Africa, Kirst? I'm saying zero. So there'll be an injury, and it's whether or not they go there. Look, it's great that Richie's coming back, and he is going to add so much to that All Black team. However, currently we have 3 guys well equipped to be the main man currently. So I don't think we need to be absolutely desperate to get him in there. We know he's going to be there at the World Cup. We know he's going to be there in the tour. But I think at first opportunity, he'll be the next 10 picked to go over there if anything was to happen to the big 3 right now.
Even if it wasn't one of the big 3, if there was an injury to a hooker or to a lock or to a loose forward, a Russie move from the 2023 Rugby World Cup, if there's another injury at a position that he doesn't cover because he's not a hybrid, does he still get called in?
A la Pollard being held in a little training pen waiting to be called into France. Who did he come in
for? Wasn't it for
hooker?
For Marks,
wasn't it?
It was for Marks.
Yeah. When they had no other hooker in the squad. They had to
and they had to bring Furry.
Furry had to change his. He was there as a flanker or something at the time. I don't know. There's a lot goes on in those Springboks camps that I can't keep up with. But
does he come in for another position or just for a 10?
I think we're a little bit. I couldn't see us bring him in for a hooker. I could see us bringing him in for any other back.
Okay. Fair enough. I totally understand your point, Beef, that we have 3 more than capable 10s here. But the fact that Dave Rennie has gone to New Zealand Rugby and said that he wants Richie Mo'unga available for selection and that they still won't budge, it's crazy.
Do we know that he's actually gone there hand in hand?
Yes, Blank has just said it on the record on the weekend that Dave Rennie wants him there part of his squad.
There you go. And Lang said,
so I think 100% he tours.
Good on you, Langs, for standing up. I'm the CEO. It's a no first up.
I'm the big dog here.
Oh, well, I mean,
things can always change in the next few months. And again, who knows whether all 3 of those 10s, and I'm not praying an injury on anyone, but you don't even know if they'll all finish the competition fully fit, right? You just never know what's going to happen.
You can never lose sight of how blessed we are with that position and the depth that we have.
4 10s.
Yeah.
4 10s.
I tell you what, there's a country.
To be fair, South Africa have some pretty good depth there too, though.
Well, I tell you what, there's a country that's about 3.5 hours away from Auckland Airport that would love.
You reckon they're looking at eligibility to see if any of them qualified?
Ruben, where were you born? Damien?
Yeah.
What island are you in? Yeah.
Any grandparent or great-grandparent or any connection at all, please. Round 14 predictions, Beav.
Yes.
First of all, we go to Hamilton, Chiefs-Landers. You're 100% for 25 minutes, or the Chiefs, still finding top gear.
I reckon the Chiefs would have been set for this one, hence why a few of the big names came off the bench and what have you. I reckon they'll be primed for this one, and they'll need to be. I'm picking the Chiefs in an absolute belter at Waikato Stadium, and not much in it.
I'm picking the Chiefs 13 plus.
Good on you. I'm just trying to promote a big finish, but you go and just pop the balloon.
Drua Waratahs. Drua still in it. Waratahs technically still could make it as well, depending on what happens to the final 5 and 6 positions with those Aussie teams. No one's technically off the table except Moana.
Drua.
From what you saw? Okay. Yeah, I'm going Drua too. Blues Hurricanes?
Yeah, well, if you've got no Roygaard, no love, it gets a little bit interesting.
Yes.
But we have just talked about the professionalism and the depth of the Hurricanes. So I think the Hurricanes take a major step to being that top qualifier and getting the victory just at Eden Park.
Do you reckon Bodie and Finlay Christie start this week?
Yes, I think they do. But I thought Knock was actually very, very good. He started with a few dusty ones, but as the game wore on and the Blues got back into the game, Knock had a big part of it. But yeah, I think they go back to the old firm this one.
I think the Blues win that game. Force Reds.
Force. Force, but you can't get a read on them. I thought they would have been in the Brumbies. I can't get a read on the Force. They let one slip there.
I reckon Reds. Reds. That is the Aftermatch with Kirsten B. Thanks for coming. Come for the rugby. Stay for the Aftermatch.